Hi everyone, welcome to the new Syos live tonight or today for Scott. So good morning.
Good
So
morning.
I'm really I'm really happy to welcome Scott Page with me.
Thank
Thank you really
you.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
to be here, especially because it's really early in the west coast of the United States. So thank you.
Well, it's not that it's that early. It's just I need a couple coffees in me before I'm like ready to roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, I just stopped coffee now. I'm drinking water. It's
Ah, there you go. Cheers.
cheers. So, oh, hi, Maxime.
We got Pete
Um,
coming on. Nice.
yeah. So, Maxime, say hi.
Hi, Maxine. How are you? Is Maxine a saxophone player?
No, Maxime is my partner with
Oh,
the group.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Ah,
so that's him. You met him at NAM.
that's right. I remember. No Nam this year. It was kind of a drag, right? We didn't get to hang out.
Yeah, it's so sad. Yeah, I hope we can. Yeah, it seems that they're organizing the new NAM next year, so I hope
Right.
that will happen. That would be
Yep.
nice.
Yes,
We
it
will
would.
meet you there again.
Yes. It's funny, man, not seeing all our old friends. That's like the hang. It's like you go to NAM show,
Yeah,
it's really all about seeing all your friends you don't see that often, all your music buddies through the years. You run into everyone. Yeah, it's the great musicians hang, that's for sure.
yeah, that's really nice.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
So yeah, just to begin, can you tell us more about yourself? So I know that you have a really huge career, so maybe not everything, but if you can summarize a little to let us
Huge.
know.
It's huge. A legend in my own mind. No,
Exactly.
I grew up. I guess I'll just give you a quick kind of thing. I grew up in a musical family. My father was a musician, and I grew up actually on a television show called the Lawrence Welk Show here in the United States, which was a early uh, early variety television shows. That's when they had 7 channels on TV. That was it, 7 channels. And so I grew up playing around him. He's a wonderful woodwind player. He not only we did that, but he was at NBC television staff musician and did a lot of television. So I grew up playing music a little bit, but didn't really care about music. I was a trumpet player at the time. And through the years, I studied to be an architect and I was a draftsman. I was working in a company. And then I got in this band with David Page and Jeff Beccaro, the famous guys that actually started Toto. So we had a kid band called the Merciful Soul Band early on. From there, all of a sudden, music took me over. I got in this band. It was great because as I was working as a draftsman, I'd sit there and drink coffee all day. Then at nights, whenever we had gigs, I'd go play these gigs. We were winning all the battle of the bands. And the great part about that, there were girls in the front row. So I said, you know what? I think I'm going to be a musician. I like this musician thing better. So I started, I just dove in wholeheartedly, and I was a trumpet player all the way through college. And it wasn't until later on I actually took up the saxophone, and it was because the guy I was working for at the time was playing his band. He said, "Oh, could you play a little saxophone?" I said, "Well, I'll try it." I played a little flute, so I started playing the saxophone, fell in love with that, and then just took that full on for years. Had a pretty good career. I played my first kind of real big, pretty big band was Seals and Crofts, and I toured with them. They did Summer Breeze and all that. They had a bunch of hits during those days. From there, God, I played with. I was in Mick Fleetwood's band, The Zoo. I was in Super Tramp. Did a lot. I played with everybody from Chuck Berry to James Brown to. I played with a lot of people through the years, and then sort of most notably recognized from the playing with Pink Floyd. So I played with Pink Floyd through those years. Next to my guru, David Gilmour, guitar player, completely changed my life, made me think differently about music because he was the master of melody. So I really started realizing that melody was the most important thing. And, I've never had a lot of chops. I wasn't one of those guys that could go, ba, 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 all that kind of stuff. Great. Like some of the players that are playing your mouthpieces. Well, when I listen to Chad and, bunch of the folks that you have on there, they're just such amazing players. I always am in awe of what they do. So I basically been taking a real kind of approach, more of a personality player, I would say. I go for personality. But yeah, I've had a pretty good career, played a bunch of music, played a bunch of gigs, toured the world for years. And, that's kind of my thing. But mostly, my career, which has really been, I've been really focused in the business world. I've actually launched 4 startup companies. I've taken one of them public, all in entertainment and technology. And I'm really excited about right now. Actually, I think there's some amazing things that are going down. This is probably, because of all this COVID stuff, it's probably the greatest time for an entrepreneur I've ever seen in my life. And, it's a great time for artists. I think the greatest time for artists, and we should talk about this in a little bit, because I know there's some artists out there, is we'll need to talk about NFTs. If anybody knows what non-fungible tokens are, that completely has now changed the music business for artists. It's completely reversed the power and put it in the hands. This is the greatest time for anybody out there that creates content because of this new technology. So, but anyway, we can get in more than that. But yeah, that's me. Mostly my career has been, playing, touring through the world for many years, and doing dates and record dates, and that's been my game. But mostly I love technology too, and building businesses. So it's a combination.
Yeah, it's not often that we see people into like artists and also businessmen. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, I was wondering, like, so you said that you were playing trumpet before. So you
Mhm.
just quit the trumpet when you discovered the saxophone. So what happened exactly?
I kept playing some. I kind of played both for a while. I started to try to play both for a bit. And then I call that thing the coil of torture. That trumpet is a tough one, man. That is rough, because
Yeah.
that's like, if you miss a couple days, it's really hard to get back because of the muscles and stuff. At least with the saxophone, it's a little bit forgiving. You can go a week and still pick it up and kind of get through the gig. But trumpet was tough. But yeah, I kind of left that, I think, probably in my, I probably played them both up through the late 70s, up through that. And I really switched over kind of going into, the late 70s, early 80s is where I kind of switched. I just said, no, I'm not going to play that thing anymore. And I just really focused on the saxophone. But my guitar is my secondary instrument. So I kind of play both. And that's been, that was very important for work, because at the time, a lot of times the bands would say, oh, we want a saxophone, but we only need it on 3 or 4 songs. We don't need it on the whole thing. So a lot of times they wouldn't pick a saxophone player if they had it. So being able to play rhythm and be a guitar player at the same time as a doubler is what really kind of got me, helped my career a lot as far as getting work. So I was always the doubling guy that did a little bit of varieties of things besides just the saxophone.
Okay. Hi, Yannick. Yeah, so Yannick here, we were talking just earlier. He was saying that he had a tribute band for Pink Floyd, and that he picked up all your solos because they were he preferred them from the one of before. So
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's always interesting when you come on a band like that had a specific player that played a specific way, because Dick Perry plays nothing like me. We are like 180 degrees different in the way we play. So I always try to make sure that when I played the solos, I put a little nod to Dick and play a few of his licks before I play mine. But then I just make my own stuff up after that, which is great, because that was one of the, it's funny. Pink Floyd was probably one of the easiest jobs I've ever had, because it was just, he'd point to me and say, play whatever you want, make something up, just play. So it was really pretty simple in that case. Yeah, it was fun.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so I had a question about the Pink Floyd, because you joined Pink Floyd just when the band was kind of reinventing themselves
Yeah.
because of the departure of Roger Waters. So I was wondering how was it, and how did you fit in at that
Well,
time?
it's a funny story. I was playing with Tramp at the time, and Dave Gilmour came to guest on the album. That's when I met Dave. So we were doing the session, and so we hung out, and he put his guitar solos on the record. And that night he came to one of my gigs, and we hung out. And then a week later, he came to another gig, a big show that I was putting on called The First Dance. It was a kind of a big project I was putting on. And then so next day after we hung out and stuff, I get a call and he says, "Oh, would you come put a solos on the record?" They were doing the Momentary Lapse record. So I went there and played, put my solos on and did the whole thing. And next thing I know, I get this call a couple days later, and it's Dave Gilmour calling me up and say, "Hey, we're taking the band out again. Would you want to join the band and do this?" And I said, "I don't think so," because here was what's funny. I knew nothing about Pink Floyd.
Oh,
When I got
really?
this gig, I knew nothing. I mean, honest to God, I knew zero about Pink Floyd. So I went and did the session. I didn't know much. So he called me up and I was just finishing my project. And I said, I don't know if because he said, we're going to go out for 2 years. We're going to go away for 2 years. That's a big commitment, right? So I said, let me think about it, Dave. So I called a friend of mine up and I said, God, I got a call a couple weeks ago, or last week. I got called and I went and played on this record, this Pink Floyd record. My friend said, "You played on a Pink Floyd record?" I said, "Yeah." I said, I thought it was just a session. I didn't really think about it, really know much about Pink Floyd. And he says, "Dude," and I said, then this guy, Dave Gilmour called you up. I said, "Yeah." He said, he wants me to go join the band. "Dude, you have to do that." And I said, "Well, what? Tell me about, I don't know much about this band." I didn't really, it was so funny. So I remember going to Tower Records that night, picking up the albums and coming back and listening to them. And then eventually calling Dave back up and said, "Yeah, okay, I want to do it." But I was so thankful I did, because I almost didn't do it because I didn't know anything about it. Right. So it was kind of funny, but yeah, it was really very interesting, because what happened was when I got called, the first thing we did is we rehearsed in an airplane hangar in Toronto out on the tarmac. And they used to have to ship us out every day. We had to get on a special little tram. And when the 747s would go by, they'd rush us out to the stage. And I'll never forget walking in there and seeing this giant stage for the first time with beds flying down and giant pigs floating around. And I said, "Holy cow, this thing is monstrous." I mean, I'd never seen. It was a huge production, and we did, big productions with, Super Tramp and some of the other things, and Toto and some of the other bands I played with. But there was nothing like this thing. Was just incredible. So yeah, it was, that was the camp with Dave. Dave's, like I said, is my guru. He completely changed my playing, made me realize that melody is really where it's at. And he was one that said, "It ain't what you play, it's what you say," which I think is one of the great statements of all time, because it really is true. So many of the great players, the guys that really can kill you many times, can kill you with one note, right? They can just, one note will tear your heart out. So yeah. But yeah, Floyd was an incredible trip, incredible ride, had more fun than any human. And I'm alive to talk about it, which is really interesting because we had too much fun in those days.
Yes. So how was it to play like in such a big stage, with in front of so many people? Like, what was the feeling during those Pink Floyd concerts?
Well, at that time it was the biggest tour in history. We were, selling out stadiums everywhere around the world. We went around twice. We could have probably gone around another 2 times and still sold them out each time we went around. It's really fascinating. It's obviously it's a thrill and an honor to get out there and play in those big gigs. And, you see all these people, but it's very fascinating because it's so big and you're so spread out. And when you look out, the people are about this big, so they're really tiny. And so you don't really get the same kind of feeling that when you're actually sitting in a club. I love playing a club when everybody's jammed up against a stage and you can look in people's eyes and things. And I used to, like, on the big gigs, I would try to find somebody in the front row, someplace that I could look at and kind of connect with. So I felt like I was playing to somebody, because those big shows, as exciting as they seem, it's really a different feeling. It's not like for me, it was never like we felt like you were really tight in a groove and, playing with a band. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. It's a great thrill, but it's really different. And actually, it's funny. We used to play, we had a band, we called the band the Fishermen. So Pink Floyd would be the Fishermans. And after we would play shows, the promoter would set us up to go play in a club. So we'd go play in a club with the band. And those were really fun because we were, once people realized it was Pink Floyd in this little 100-seat place, right?
Nice.
People would jam in there and we'd play. And it's funny because we never played any Pink Floyd tunes. We'd always just play R&B and rock and roll and all kinds of other stuff. It was just more for fun. But, I love playing in a really tight smaller kind of venues where there's a lot of people. Those are really my favorite to play.
Okay. So it seems that our volume is different. So John, can you tell us which one is
Uh-oh.
yeah, I can change the microphone, but I need to know because I hear the same on my side, so I don't know who is too low or too high.
Uh-oh. Am I not? I should be okay.
I hear you well, but
You hear me
so they
well,
say that
right?
yeah, so they say that you are too loud.
I'm
I can just make me
Oh, I'm
go.
too loud. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Is it better? I
well,
think
you're loud
maybe
now.
it's better now. Yeah,
You're
okay. Yeah, because last time I was too loud, so I had to tune my
okay.
microphone low. But this time, since you are, yeah, so it seems I guess it's okay now.
Okay, I turned that down so we don't have any echo. See, this is professional here. We take care of business right during the show, during the
So
live.
now they say that it's too loud from my side. I love technology.
Okay,
Um,
there we go.
okay, so maybe here. Okay. Um, Yes, I was wondering. So you said that you didn't know Pink Floyd at that time. So what kind of music did you listen to?
I was listening a lot to, like Junior Walker, Stevie Wonder. I was more, saxophone was more in that R&B and kind of
Yeah.
rock space because I realized, I'll never forget. My friend called me up one night that was working. He was playing in Vegas. He called me up and he says, he was my music buddy. We hung and played all the time. And he says to me, man, you got to go get this record. I said, what is it? He says, it's called First Flight. It's this guy named David Sanborn. You got to go check this out. Right. And I'll never forget. I went to Tower Records because it was open 24 hours. And I remember going that night, getting that record. It was about 2:00 in the morning, came home, threw that on. And when I heard that for the first time, I went, oh, because I was an alto player. And I realized at that moment, I said, I'm not going to play alto anymore. I heard that guy and I said, he is now going to just suck the air out of the room when it comes to playing the saxophone because his sound was so unique and he was just amazing. And so I listened to him. That's when I made that decision that I become a tenor player, number one. And number two, I realized I wasn't going to go ba ba da ba ba da ba da ba da because I could say, I started thinking, I said, saxophone players. Okay. And I could name, I'd go, Fathead Newman, Lockjaw Davis, Ben Webster, I Quebec, blah, 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 Charlie Parker. I mean, all the great saxophone, all the jazz guys. Then I said, rock and roll. Okay, who are the rock and roll saxophone players? And I went, King Curtis, Junior Walker. Then it started getting really thin, right? I couldn't really think of a lot of real names. So I said, I'm going to become a rock guy and try to steer my career into one space because I knew every time I'd go in, after that, I go and play a session. They'd say, oh, can you play like Dave Sanborn? And they kept saying, would you play like Dave Sanborn? And I'd try it. I could never play like that, And I said, that's where I finally said, no more. I'm just going to be, if you want saxophone, you're going to get Scott Page. That's it. I wear my own clothes from this moment on. And that's where I changed my whole style, because I take the microphone, I throw it down in the bell of my horn, the cheapest mic. I don't care. I like to overdrive stuff. I try to make it sound squeal like pigs and make noise. That's my whole strategy. I try to just really more about personality. That's kind of why I like the mouthpieces so much. Your mouthpieces is because for me, it has its own personality, right? And for me, that's what it's all about. It's about how do I make it respond and what does it sound like? It sounds different than any of the other mouthpieces that I have. And I like that because I try to adapt my style to whatever the sound of it is. And I'm actually really loving the new one you sent me. I have to tell you, it's very, very nice. And you nailed exactly what I asked for too, which is funny. I said, because I was playing that other one that I had for a long time. I actually wore a hole through the top of it, had to fill it up and do that. And, but yeah, this mouthpiece one, I kind of was very fascinating because I kind of described to you what I was looking for and you actually delivered very well. Thank you so much. So I'm very happy with this mouthpiece now.
Yeah, I'm just I should have done it in pink because now you have a green mouthpiece.
I have a green mouthpiece, so I'm green now.
Anymore. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got used to see you play with the pink one to it.
I know. I've always had the pink one, and it wasn't because it was. I picked a pink one. It just happened to be when you sent me those first set of mouth.
Yeah.
That one was the one that worked the best for me. Yeah.
So can you do a little demo?
Oh, a demo. Okay, so 9 o'clock in the morning. This is rough. You're making me play at all those great saxophone players.
Yeah,
I hope they don't
now
listen.
now it's 9:20.
Okay, so this is the end. Okay, so we're gonna do. Let me
No,
see.
no, it's not the end. It's not the end.
All right, so I'll try your mouthpiece out here for you. I'll see what I can do. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here. It's rough. All right. Is that too loud? Probably. Is it loud? Too much?
I guess it's okay.
Okay. Let's see. All right, let me play something here. Let me think about it. It's great, man. You know what's so great about these things? You can put a shirt on, but you got your sweats on. So underneath, nobody knows when you're doing Zooms, right? Let's see. All right, here's a great old song. Do people remember this song? Oh, wait. Oh, see, you got me kind of. Wait a minute. Okay. That's it. Hard to
Nice,
play in
thank
the
you.
morning. Help! Too hard.
Yeah, next time we will change the time.
I need a read too. That read's
Yeah.
horrible.
So yeah, we talked about Super Trump. Like, how did you enter the band? What was the story behind this one? Because the story of the
So
Pink Floyd
that
is funny. So I
yeah,
want
it's
to
kind of
hear the
interesting.
other one.
I used to play a gig in a place in called what was the name of that place? Not Josephina's. Anyway, it was a little club. I played in there every weekend. We did Sundays and Monday nights forever. And there used to be a guy that used to come and sit in the back at the bar every week. He was there for weeks and weeks. Finally, I go up to him and say, "Hey, man, how you doing? Meet you. What do you do?" And it happened to be his name was Bob Siebenberg. And Bob Siebenberg, I said, "What do you do?" He says, "Well, I play in this band called Super Tramp, and we're actually making a record at A&M Records right now." And so we became friends. And then all of a sudden, I was actually playing with Diana Ross. I was in Las Vegas, and I got a call from Bob. He said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody. Would you be interested?" And so I said, well, they said they had an audition. I said, well, I could come in. I'm in Vegas. Like Wednesday's my day off. I could fly back home on Wednesday and do the audition and come back. So I flew in, got the gig, came back. They called me back up, said, "Yep, let's go." And I remember having to go up to see Diana Ross and tell her that I'm leaving. "Hi, Diana." She was my pal, right? I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I got to go do this other gig now." And so I left there and started playing, did the Supertramp gig. That was a fun gig. That's a great bunch of people, really beautiful bunch of family folks. And, it was really a blast. That was really the first really big tour when we did Europe that I had done. Yeah, enjoyed that a lot. Great playing with those. And John Helliwell, the saxophone player that, he's in the band also. He's in the band, it's his band. He was my guru. I mean, the guy taught me more about life than anybody I've ever known. Actually, he was just an incredible human being, and loved life and loved quality at a level that I'd never been around somebody like that before. So I learned a ton from him. But yeah, that's how that came about. And I did 3 albums with them and multiple tours. Yeah. And then, then the Pink Floyd came along, and I sort of left that and went to play with Pink Floyd. And then from there, then I just got into building companies and playing, and kind of a combination. I had to leave Pink Floyd. I started a company, and my company took off. So I had to go, sorry guys, I got to go do my business now. So I left, and then just went on. And that's what I've been doing ever since, is just really focusing on that. And, I love the idea of business and entertainment kind of together. And so my new company, Think Experiences, I did this company because I wanted to play more again. So it's an immersive entertainment company, and I've been focused on kind of those types of things. We just, up before the COVID, we did 40 sold out shows in a 360-degree immersive dome. And our first Think experience we did was a Think Floyd experience. So we did Pink Floyd with a great band. My band is called Think X, and it's Stephen Perkins from Jane's Addiction, Kenny Olson from Kid Rock's band, Norwood Fisher from Fishbone, myself, and then Will Champlin, who was the runner-up on The Voice, amazing, great singer, great player, singer, and a guy named Derek Day. So we've been doing those gigs, and not so much in the last year. Everything got shut down, everything stopped. But I got to say that this is the most exciting time, and I really recommend to everyone out there, artists especially, that they really take a look at what NFTs, non-fungible tokens, does. It's the new publishing engine. It's probably the most important thing that's happened to artists that I've ever seen in my lifetime. It completely flips the switch. I mean, switches the entire system, where you get to own all your own stuff right now. And it's a crazy model. A lot of people are going to make a lot of money because of that. And any artist making everything they do should be an NFT now, because it's critical. It's like I said, it's publishing. It's the new version of publishing, and it completely takes over, because the blockchain will basically handle all your royalties, handles all the ownership, and it's fantastic. So I'm very excited. That's where I'm really focused right now. We're getting ready to launch a whole series of NFTs. I'm actually taking my entire career, all my hours of everything from Floyd to Super Tramp to I've been collecting for years. I have a massive collection. I'm putting that all out on the blockchain, and it's going to be part of it, because then it gets out into the it's kind of like the time capsule, because once it hits the blockchain, it'll never go away. And so that's a great way to preserve and put things out to the world.
Okay. So can you just maybe tell us a little more about it? So you said that all the COVID stuff was kind of an opportunity for musicians. I guess musicians don't all see it like that. So yeah, just want to learn a little bit more.
Because it's so basically, if people, let me kind of explain, crypto technology. So it's like, you probably all heard of Bitcoin, you've heard of, Ethereum, and all the different kinds of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, and those are what they call fungible tokens. And a fungible token is, they're the same. So one Bitcoin here, and if I have another Bitcoin here, they're both the same. We can interchange them. I can give you mine, you can give me yours, I can leave, and it's the same thing. A non-fungible token is where you're basically taking the blockchain and you're connecting it to something that's not exchangeable. It's not the exact same thing. It's unique. So when you basically tie this to the blockchain, you're actually adding a unique element. So that becomes a one of a kind. You can't change it. You can't do anything. So an example was Kings of Leon just did an offering, a non-fungible token offering, where they minted 20,000 of their new record. And that was it, 20,000 records. They sold that, and during the auction, I think it was 7 minutes, I believe it was, they sold $2 million worth. because people now can collect them. So whenever you take and you tokenize, and I believe the entire world's going to be tokenized, everything will be tokenized. There's nothing I won't do anymore that I'm not going to tokenize. Every song I work on, every recording I do, videos I do, everything is going to be tokenized, because that basically sets the publishing and the rights of it. Now, what's so beautiful about these non-fungible tokens is, so they did 20,000 of those, but now there's a marketplace and people can start buying and trading them. And every time that it's bought and it's traded, there's a royalty. So, and here's another example. A guy did a painting, charged $900 for the painting. He sold, I think it was 4,000 of them. I don't hold me exactly, but the numbers, but some number like 4,000 at $900 did like $500,000 in revenue in 7 minutes. But then it traded, and that same $900 asset went all the way up to $118,000. So people are trading and buying. So the point is you're able to create something, an experience with an NFT, and you can make it unique and one of a kind, which people will then start to collect. So, and then it also sets the publishing from that point on. So once you do that, whatever you do with your whatever the music or the visuals in the music or whatever the thing that you're tokenized now has value, because I just bought that. It's now one of a kind. It's unique. And that causes it to have value. But that whole downstream, that what happens is once you start the process token, and then from there on, you're licensing your product out from that point. But the beauty is the blockchain will manage all the rights. So once whatever's in what they call the smart contract, which tells the royalties. So in other words, let's say we all wrote a record together and we said, you get 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, goes into the blockchain. Once it goes out, from that point on, you never need anybody to check. Every time that record is sold or played, you're going to get paid, because it's now controlled through the smart contract. And you don't have to go to like the record company and say, I need to audit you. Why didn't I get paid? Where's my thing? It doesn't. The blockchain does that. So this allowing for a complete direct to consumer business model, which we knew we were been moving into. It's all direct to consumer. Now it takes it to a whole nother level, because you don't need a label. You don't need anybody to manage all that. You don't need anything. You just basically, if it's on the blockchain, you put it out there, you can create unique products. Those products can go up in value. And then if people even steal it, basically, and share it where you're not going to be, it doesn't matter, because you're driving the price of the actual asset, because of more people that see it and use it. It will makes the originals more valuable. So it's something I just really suggest everybody should really take a very close look at, because the amount of dollars and how you get paid and managing those rights from now on out is just fantastic. I mean, it is game changing. To me, it's probably the most important thing I've seen for artists to come along in years. I mean, it's beyond, once you start grasping the power of the token, what that really does. So I really suggest everything you do from now on, you should do it. You got to do some NFT mouthpieces too. You got to do some of those.
I will check that. And so what about like all the streaming platform? Do you think that with that new model, people will go for the NFT and stop using the streamring platform, or
no.
what do you think?
It's really just ownership. It's about
just
ownership
for the collection.
and IP. So like example is just another. There's one of the NFTs that are going out a lot is what they call Top Shot. It's the NBA, the national broadcast. So what's happening is they take the best shot from the game and they make that an NFT, and somebody can buy that. So they get to actually own that piece of that particular asset. And they're, most of those are going out $300-400. I notice per what they're selling for, but then there are some going up to $300,000 to $500,000 for the same, for somebody shooting a basketball shot, because they want to own that. So the point I'm making is now you start thinking different about making stuff, right? If you're going to make an EP, you think about maybe pairing up with an artist and creating some digital assets. And remember, when you can unlock it, it's almost like the great part of NFTs is they can be very gamified or interactive. There's things that you can build into these that people buy. So they're experiences. That's what I love about it. You can create experience. So you can create a limited edition of experiences, and those can go out as NFTs that can then be traded and actually become valuable in the marketplace.
Okay. Yeah. And going back to when you leave Pink Floyd to just
Mhm.
focus on your business. So what was the business? How did
Yeah.
you decide to just
Well,
quit the band and focus on the business?
well, I got, it was funny when I was out with the band, one of the deals I had to make with them is because I had my company that I was running back here and I was going to leave. So I said, "Oh, we didn't have cell phones. There was no cell phones." So
Yeah.
I said, I negotiated my contract that I could use the production office during the day so I could get on the phone and do work back in Los Angeles. So I was always kind of in the business side of it. I always liked business. I just like the whole art of it. Um, so I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. So anyway, I started doing that. So I got into the business side of it. I started a company called Walt Tucker, which was named after my two heroes, Walt Disney and Preston Tucker, the car manufacturer. I love their pioneering spirit. And it was an audio video post-production facility. And I had a graphic merchandising business all combined into one place. And we did everything from, we did the Rolling Stones in there, Janet Jackson, Bon Jovi, Garth Brooks. So I did a lot of those types of things. So that really got me into the business sense. And then I saw what was coming on in technology. I did my first CD-ROM, which was for a company called ProSonus, and it was music. It was called Music Bytes. And what it was designed for computer users that were doing like PowerPoint presentations. It was music for that because there was no music for a guy doing a PowerPoint presentation because it was so early. PowerPoint was new, computers were new. And so we created a library of music for that. Jeff Baxter, my buddy from the Doobie Brothers, I don't know if you know, the guitar player. So we did this thing together. And so we were at a trade show in Las Vegas called Comdex, which became the CES, kind of a consumer electronics show, but it was called Comdex in the beginning. And I remember sitting there where we were in the booth, we were demoing our product, and I saw across the room there was something on a screen. I walked up to this video screen and I saw this educational title for children called Just Grandma and Me. And it was for 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds computer, but it was the first time I saw anybody click on something and it moved on the screen. And I went, wow, that is so cool. I could click something, it would happen, right? And I was developing this whole thing called visual sound, where I was using zooming microphones and these MIDI-based tripod systems to, and you wear a lavalier when the mic zoomed in, it would bring you right into the presence of being there. So I was really trying to put sound and picture together. And I saw that the computer was so cool. There's stereo speakers, you can make things. So I said, this is where the future is. And so I dove into that. And then that night met a guy by the name of George Grayson, who had started a company called Micrographics, and he was CEO, and it was one of the biggest 20th largest software companies in the United States at the time. And so we hit it off. Luckily, he was a big Pink Floyd fan, so we were pals right away. And next thing I knew was I started doing a product for them where I was kind of doing what I did for Favonis for his company, because they built graphics packages and they needed music. Anyway, long story short, we decided to do this event called the Grand Scientific Musical Theater, which was where I brought in all the Hollywood guys along with Silicon Valley. It was actually for the first time this had actually come together like this. And I had everybody, I had like Cirque du Soleil and Graham Nash and Tower of Power and John Anderson from Yes, John Entwistle from The Who, Peter Gabriel. We had everybody at this event. And from that, it was 16,000 people. And it was a big kind of crazy variety show mixing technology. I had the first circular video walls, first 3D audio in an arena that was ever done. And I had Peter Max was painting real time on these silicon graphics machines. And one of the hosts was a 3D talking character, which is now nothing. But back then that was a really big deal. And we were streaming visuals in from Japan while John Anderson was playing with the Nevada Symphony Orchestra and singing it. So it was this big technology thing. And right after that, Bob Ezrin, who produced Floyd, who came out to help me on this thing, we sat there and we said, this is unbelievable. This is the future. So I started a company called Seventh Level with George Grayson, the gentleman from Micrographics. We went and started that company and then took that company public about 18 months later. And so in that, one of this is probably my most treasured claim to fame is myself, along with another gentleman, Richard Merrick. We directed and produced the world's first interactive cartoon. And that was a trip because it was working with engineers, and that's where I really got involved in the technology side of things. So that was that was a title called Toonland. It was an educational title, and it starred Howie Mandel. And we basically sold about 11 million units of that. It was on zillions of computers. It was bundled. It was very early multimedia. And so that really got me into the tech space. So I realized that there was a space that was needed, somebody that understood technology and then also understood entertainment, because they're totally different things. Because when you work with, artists, it's like, you put your thumb up, let's try this, and you'll experiment and, try another solo, and let's change that drum, let's go. So it's a real whittling process. In technology, it's on or it's off. The engineers hate anything about trying to, let's test this and try it. They want to know, no, it's either on or it's off. What does it do? Tell me exactly, so that they can program it, because it's yes or no. It's not, there's anything. So I saw that opportunity and really kind of dove into being known in that technology space. And since then, I've launched 4 other companies. I'm on my 4th one right now. And we're launching I'm launching a thing called Livin.live. And Livin is really came out of this COVID experience. It was designed because I started realizing, we were going to have our biggest year this year. We were growing. We were getting ready to put up a 1,600 seat immersive theater at the Queen Mary in Los Angeles, and most advanced immersive theater in the world. It was crazy cool. I was partnered with these guys out of Cirque du Soleil out of Canada. And so we were getting ready to sign all the contracts, finally put the deal together. Then COVID hit. So that got thrown out. We were going to play jazz festivals. We were going to Europe. Everything was going great. And then it was like the switch turned off. It was like I woke up. So I woke up, remember having coffee, going, everything's canceled. What am I going to do now? I'm in my house. Yeah. So I started thinking, I said, because usually when these things kind of happen, this is where the opportunities come. I mean, this is the most incredible time for an entrepreneur I've ever seen, because there's so many new problems, new things that have to be solved. So I started thinking about, where's entertainment going to go? So I realized, first of all, you can't sell music anymore. There's no place to sell music. I mean, that ship has sailed a long time ago. And streaming is a very tough business to make any money in, because of just the business model. 1 million streams will pay you maybe $4,000 to $5,000 roughly for 1 million streams. Well, there's like, out of 98% of the entire Spotify can't even reach 1 million streams, right? It's only that small portion that make any money. So what can you do? So as an artist, I started thinking about, well, what is it? What is it that you can do? What can you sell? Well, as an artist, you can sell 2 things: the relationship, right? Products that may be, like if you're teaching or things like that, and an experience. So my whole thing is about the experience. So I started thinking about, what are the opportunities now? So I realized we're going to have live shows, but they're going to be different. It's going to be really a VIP experience. They're not going to let tens of thousands of us into rooms anymore and slam us into this, but it's going to be different for a while. Plus, we've completely changed the user behavior now, right? Because we're doing these virtual calls all the time. Everything's moving into this virtual space, right? And that's why I say NFTs, because even like on the walls, you're going to have your screens up there, and you're going to put your digital art, your collectibles and things up on the screens. I mean, I don't know if you sit there and watch your Apple TV. Sometimes when it's on the screensaver, I'm just staring at the screensavers because they're so cool, over the Antarctic. So this digital art piece is going to happen. So, but anyway, I realized with the live event, and the second thing was streaming, but it's not just the one-way stream, it's the two-way streaming, the real-time two-way, which was really cool, because now I can focus on how I can bring fan in stream. I can start bringing them into the show in a different way. And then the third thing I added to the model was, well, I can't hand you something through the screen, but delivery services have taken over. So we have a box that we ship to you that's prior to the event. So prior to the show, you get a box, which is a whole interactive experience that we can do together through our live streams and our live shows. And then now we add this NFT thing, which is just an incredible money generating machine. I mean, again, I can't tell anybody out there, you must figure this out, because I guarantee it will change your life. And it's the greatest thing that's happened in years. Sounds goofy, but it's one of those things. But anyway, so we're doing a live show. We're getting ready to launch. It's called Livin.live, LIVN.live. And Livin is rocking, laughing, tasting, giving, thinking. It's a whole bunch of different things. And we're doing our first show is coming up in August. because we got killed. We were supposed to do it in December, but we're doing it, and I'm doing it at what I believe that I've never the most advanced venue space in the world that I've ever seen. It's incredible. It's actually in a mansion. It's called Laurel Canyon Live. It's full Atmos, 3D audio, all run by game engines, 14 cameras, indoor, outdoor areas. So we're going to be doing our live live-in shows, which we have a whole pre-show where we go for food tasting, hanging, comedy, then it goes into the live show, and then we have a whole after show piece of it. And it's really about bringing fans into this. And like I said, the entire show is designed to be a ton of NFTs so that we can raise funds. We're actually in the midst right now of using NFTs to build a school in Watts, a music school called the Watts Conservatory of Music. It's myself, Flea from the Chili Peppers, Norwood Fisher from Fishbones, Stephen Perkins, Jane Stick. All of us are coming together. Leland Sklar, the bass player, and all of us are basically building a whole series of NFTs to sell, where a big portion of those will go to the actual charity. So we're building a school right now, and that will all culminate into what we're doing to get ready for the show. So we'll announce and present all the funds and stuff in August we're raising through all of this new technology, new platforms.
So what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Yeah.
Oh, our box that we sent. Okay, so it's great. So we have our sponsors. We have a special, really cool vodka and a set of drinks, so mixes that come with it. We're going to do a Pink Floyd show. So I actually put in these little USB mirror ball things that make your house all wacky looking, so they can set up and you can get your house all lit up. There's a whole tasting thing. There's a bunch of interactive things that we can do together at times. We bring the audience in, and certain pieces of people, the audience, are actually part of the actual show and are brought into it. And there's just, like I said, there's a lot of different kind of things that you can do that are part of the actual show that have been things that are great for selfies and all kinds of stuff like that, so they can broadcast. And some golden tickets in there, and some of those people get brought into the shows. So it's kind of a whole experience, from food to wine tasting. We do different things that make it kind of fun, make the experience interesting, themed, very, very theme based.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. See, so if we were doing an interview, I kept telling me one of the things that you could do was, if you had a sponsor, you could have shipped me what the product was, and we could, if it was a coffee, we could be tasting coffee together right now
coffee.
and talking about it, and it makes sponsors very happy, because now it's part of it. So anybody can start adding that delivery to their experience, because again, everything is about experience, and we're moving into a total direct-to-consumer model. And that's why I'm saying NFTs are great, because now you can manage all of your stuff direct to consumer. You don't need anybody else. If you're a new act, you create something, your fans will want to collect it, even if it's $10 or $20, but then they get in the trading. And if you as an act start to become very famous, then those people that bought those collectibles now it will go up in value and they'll make money. So it really changes the way you think about creating stuff, right?
Interesting.
And
so yeah, do you still have time to play music with all the business you have to do?
Well, yeah, so that's why I tied it in, so that I have gigs. So the band plays that are part of my business model is the music part of it. So that's why I built Livin', is because we're the house band in it, and we bring all the people in to play. So I get to keep playing. That's my thing, because there's nothing like playing. I mean, it's the thing that, I've gone periods of time where I haven't played much because I was so busy with the business, and now I realize that it's so important to the soul, right? I mean, it's everything that I've been about is playing. There's nothing like it. It's consciousness is my favorite subject. And when I play, it actually lets me get closer to the source, to God, to whatever you want, because it gets you to that space where you can drop thinking, and you actually can be part of be part of it. So for me, it's probably one of the most important things. My business is better when I'm playing more. It's just, I feel better. It's so important.
Is it where you get your energy, or what's your secret to be so energical all the time?
Well, here's it's really simple, and I think it's, for me, it goes back to that. I took a very deep inward journey about 15, 17 years, 20 years, 15, 20 years ago, where I really started looking inward, right? Taking that, meditating a lot and going down that path. And when I realized this one fundamental thing, I really realized is not understood it. I understood it for a long time, but I finally know this to be true. The only thing that's real is you and me talking right now. Everything else is an illusion. 5 minutes ago, I can't touch it. I can't change it. I can never make anything. It's just a thought. 5 minutes from now is just a thought. So once I grasped that, I said, well, the only thing that matters is the step I'm taking right now, right? So I constantly am in a state of checking myself. Well, how am I feeling right now? Because this is real, because I could catch myself many times be sitting here like suffering. Oh my God, what's going to happen? How am I going to pay my bill? What am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. When in reality, I was identifying with a thought, not reality, because I'm drinking a cup of coffee and I'm talking to you. Everything's okay. The world's not falling down. So if I'm not suffering, and I'm not, and I can bring myself attention back to where I really am, that changes everything. And that's everything for me. I don't care about the outcome. I don't think about what's going to happen. Oh, this is going to be great if this happens and I get all identified. I don't really care. I really care not. I really don't, because that's just mental noise. And that's how why you suffer, is because you identify with thinking, right? Oh, I wanted my company. I'm going to start my company and I can see my company and it's going to be here. It's going to be great. And then all of a sudden it veers and starts going the different direction and things change and you have to deal with it. Now I'm suffering. Oh no, my dream isn't coming true the way I thought it was going to come true. Oh my God, it's horrible. Life is terrible. Well, that's all because you identify with thoughts in your head, because you start projecting all this stuff. So my whole thing is it's about awareness, being aware, being constantly aware, so that every step that you're taking, you're kind of checking in with reality, right? And it's really what it is, and not get taken over. So once I was able to really get that clicked, like at a level, it just went, oh, that's it. That's the game. That's the whole thing, right? The rest of this is all the suffering is really past and future. That's where the suffering comes, because if I'm drinking this cup of coffee, unless a lion's chasing me right now or something's going on, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong right now. Everything is fine. Mm-hmm. So once I grasped that concept to the point where now it's the most important thing to me. I mean, I'm constantly, it's funny. I walk around like the past to me is just, it's almost like I don't even remember. It completely drops off. I try to equate it to this. Yeah, I mean, those cartoons where you see a guy running on this, there's this cliff, right? And it's thin. And every time he takes a step, the part of the mountain falls, but he just seems to keep making it, right? That's how I feel about the past. It's just like now, like what's happened, it's done. It's over. I don't identify with it anymore. I don't care about it. It makes no sense. It has no value to me anymore at all. So that alone it just makes you so much, you feel so much better, because you're not trapped by all these imaginary things in our head, and you're doing it. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have things that you got to deal with, and doesn't mean you're going to do it. It's just that when it takes you over, you deal with it a lot differently. You find yourself thinking about the same problem over and over again all day long. You're like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to get through this? And you waste all your time thinking about the same thing over and over again, instead of stepping out of it and watching it and saying, okay, I have to deal with it. Because here's the thing, what I'll tell anybody out there, been doing this a long time, it always works out. Not the way you want it to necessarily, but it always works out and you get through it. And you could suffer. It didn't happen the way I wanted it. But what I found too is that the things that didn't work out at the time felt terrible. Now I'm so thankful, because it was the right thing to happen at that moment, because then what is happening now wouldn't have happened if I would have done that. So it's just this all identifying with thinking. And then that's where I've kind of been able to get to the point where I can drop thought. I can stop thinking now. I know what it feels like. I understand what no thought means. And that's the trick, because here's the game for everybody out there. It's a call to awareness. And the more present you are, you hear that, the more you're basically stopping and smelling the roses, because you're actually where you are. The question is being aware. So here's the puzzle. How do I know I'm aware that I'm aware? Solve that one and you're in good shape. Life changes for you. The minute you can solve, How do I know I'm aware that I'm aware? Because your mind will tell you, hey, I'm aware right now. And you're not. You're as asleep as you can possibly be. You have no idea how asleep you are. And that's the trick. But taking that inward journey, and that's for me, just I got energy from that. I mean, it makes me get up every day and I'm excited. And it's just a matter of checking in as often as you can to make sure you're not trapped in some memory, something in your head that isn't even real, right? So that's my trick.
That's interesting. I'm gonna try that.
Yes,
Thank
do.
you.
And here's the trick for you. Here's what you do. Because the first time you sit there, because the question is asking yourself, stopping, and here's what you do is as often as you can, stop yourself where you are, put every bit of your attention where you are, your entire, everything you can, all mighty in this space, see yourself in this room, imagine, then ask this question. Am I feeling any anxiety, tension, or fear? The minute you ask that question, you'll know, because if I am feeling any anxiety, tension, or fear, it's because I'm thinking about it, because I'm drinking coffee right now. In reality, there's nothing to be fearful of. There's nothing's hurting, unless again, a lion or somebody's chasing me, if I'm having a physical type of thing. So ask that question. So here's a good example. Take sticky notes, put them all over your house in your cabinets. Like when you go grab your cup of coffee, go get coffee out of the cabinet, have a sticky there. It says, wake up. When you see that sticker, stop, ask that question, because every time you do that, you're starting to flip the narrative to where you're becoming aware of your thinking, right? Because that's really is. Are you the thinker or are you the watcher? You're actually the watcher. You're not the thinker. Once you can stand back and you can start watching yourself, right? And once that happens, you start to go, well, is there two of me? That's a trip. With the first time, how can I watch my thinking and just what's going on? And that's kind of where the journey really starts to get very interesting, because then you start to realize that you're not the thinker. There's something that's much deeper, and it's there when you're 5 years old. It's there when you're 90 years old. And, you start to realize that time is a complete illusion. There's no such thing as time. Time is something we make up, because you blink, you're 50, you blink, you're on your deathbed. That's how fast, boom, boom, goes like that. It's trippy. Yeah. So life is very interesting. So I choose to just try to stay up all the time, because I can at least identify that I'm not being chased by a lion all the time, and all that suffering that I would go through before, I don't suffer anymore. It helps. It's a very important, most important thing everybody out there, go take that inward journey. There's nothing more important.
Yeah, thank you for this advice. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a nice way to end this talk, unless you have something more to share, or
No, I'm just
a
happy
new
we had that
project.
conversation. I'm just happy we had
Yeah.
that conversation, because that's the one that matters. That's the most important. There's nothing more important. Not even NFTs. But they come in second. Those are second. That's the second one. Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
I just hope all the musicians out there, please, please, please take the time, take 15 hours, 20 hours, do a deep dive on NFT, go into Google. What are NFTs? Search everything you can about that, understand it, because it'll change your life. It's how you are now in control of your finances. It's going to change your life, and it's incredible, especially if you're an artist. You'll be able to support yourself now like you never did before. You don't need labels anymore. You don't need any of that. That's like why. You've got a technology that will basically handle all the royalty streams, management of your assets, and you just need to go direct and just create cool stuff for people, and they'll buy it. There you go.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do you want to? Normally we finish. Yeah.
Just one last thing I'm going to say. Thank you very much for making these mouthpieces, because it's really cool. I mean, I'm being a tech guy. It always fascinates me, the fact of what you can do with 3D printing. But yeah, no, I'm very thankful, because I really love this mouthpiece now. It has a real personality of its own. It doesn't sound like anything else that I've played. I played my Berg for many years, and I like that. This has got a really kind of a little tweaky thing to it, right? It's just crazy cool personality. And so I really love what you guys do service wise, and it's fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to make good mouthpieces for people like you. Like it's
thank you so much.
Yeah, so normally we finish with some music. So
Oh no, don't make
is
me
it
do it
still
again.
early or what?
I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too early for me to play. I need to read on my mouthpiece. I wasn't ready for this. I should have had my horns at least warmed up a little bit. Don't do it. Don't make me do it. We'll just say
Okay, we will do
all right,
it the next time then.
okay. Excellent.
Yeah,
All
thank you
right, all
very much.
Syos family folks.
Thank you. Bye. See you next
Bye.
time.
Thank you.